Hi guys, my name is Megan Johnson and I did my final paper on reactive attachment disorder. This is just a really cute quote that I found that I think fit my topic. Attachment is the ability to trust. Children who have suffered early trauma lack trust. All right, so what is it? Reactive attachment disorder, which is a disorder that impacts an individual in infancy or early childhood. Reactive attachment disorder is believed to be onset by abuse and neglect perpetrated at a young age. The disorder impacts a child's ability to form appropriate attachments with caregivers. It is characterized by a child's inability to respond to a caregiver's comfort and responsiveness. Also, an individual with reactive attachment disorder is a child who does not utilize or look to caregivers when they are distressed. Individuals with reactive attachment disorder have trouble regulating their emotions. I'm going to show you now a video of an individual with reactive attachment disorder. This is an example of how reactive attachment disorder can cause stress within a family. This is a example of an adoptive family who adopted a child with reactive attachment disorder. So they adopted a little girl without knowing that she had this disorder.
We loved her, and we still do.
But almost immediately, there are clear signs that the Harrises have taken on more than they thought.
She was a very hurt child.
How could you tell she was hurt?
Because in the very beginning, she would not attach anyone. She would come in and she cussed us out. She had a lot of anger.
Anger that they say looked like this. The Harrises say these tantrums would ignite without warning.
And I had showed DHS a video of her, and they were like, "Oh, good luck with that." She just screamed and raged at the top of her lungs. I said, "This is what I'm dealing with, 8 to 12 hours a day."
8 to 12 hours a day?
Goodness, it never stopped. It just screamed. There were no tears, just rage screaming non-stop.
Given the fact that things go south so quickly, why would you proceed with the adoption?
We thought things could get better. We thought the counselor said if we loved them enough, that it would get better. And it never got better.
Despite the ongoing domestic drama, the Harrises never waver. They proceed to bring the two younger sisters in, introducing them to the family.
Oh yeah, they also adopted her two younger sisters as well.
Taking them to the duck pond. But their arrival only adds gasoline to the increasingly combustible household.
When they see each other, it triggers old memories, bad memories.
She starts talking about biological mom to bring it back up, things they had been through, things they had experienced.
What were they doing?
I would ask the middle one, I would say, "What are you doing, when you sneak out of your room?" She said, "I'm going to kill my brothers."
Listen to this home video.
Why would you tell Ethan you was going to kill him?
Because he told me that.
Who told you that?
The bad man.
The bad man?
The middle girl discussing fantasies of murder with sweetness in her voice.
What did he tell you to do to him?
To kill him. For real.
As their fear grows, so does the surveillance.
We would do 3-hour shifts sleeping in the room. I would sleep for 3 hours, watch the cameras. Then Marcia would sleep for 3 hours, watch the cameras to make sure that they would not sneak out of the rooms.
The Harrises would learn there is an explanation for what was going on. The oldest girl had been diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder, or RAD, causing an inability to attach with others. The Harrises would later get the middle sister diagnosed as well. RAD is an often misunderstood psychological condition that develops when a child's basic need for comfort and affection are not met. In serious cases, these children can become dangerous. This sounds like a family under siege.
It is.
The Harrises suggested we speak with these parents who also adopted children with RAD. They say the Harrises' ordeal mirrors their own. You knew what they were going through.
Absolutely.
How?
We adopted 2 children. The youngest one attempted to stab his brother on 3 separate occasions. My daughter tormented her little sister, lit her baby blanket on fire, and cut all her hair off before she was 3 years old.
They kick you in the face. They spit at you.
And their rages are with knives.
As the situation rapidly deteriorates, the Harrises say they are at a loss. Their love, their child care expertise, their prayers, it's just not enough. The oldest sister especially is beginning to frighten them.
Why did you feel so strongly that she was a danger? A 6-year-old girl.
She was going to kill me with a knife in the front and the back.
So as you can see, the stress of reactive attachment disorder can be felt throughout the whole entire family. It can cause a lot of stress. So moving on in the slideshow, we have here the history. So the constructs around attachment disorders has long been piquing the curiosities of expert researchers and professionals for decades. In the 1940s, researchers observed children living within institutionalized programs. These researchers looked to observe children's attachment styles. Interestingly, the results of these studies exhibited the main features and criteria for what we call in present day reactive attachment disorder. Conversely, attachment disorders did not officially become known in the mental health community until the release of the DSM-3. Originally, in the DSM-4, reactive attachment disorder was featured with two main subtypes. These subtypes included expressively reversed and extensively social disinhibited. In 2013, the DSM-5 decided that reactive attachment disorder was in fact two divergent disorders. With this discovery, American Psychiatric Association presented a new disorder called disinhibited social engagement disorder. In DSM-5, reactive attachment disorder's name stayed the same, but the criteria for the disorder was adapted. This caused, I guess, a lot of confusion with the name staying the same, but the criteria changing for a lot of people who knew the disorder prior to that. Okay, so here's the criteria, the new updated criteria in the DSM-5. There are multiple criteria listed under the DSM-5 for reactive attachment disorder. First, the child has to rarely or minimally resist the caregiver's comfort when upset, and rarely to minimally seek comfort from caregivers. Next, they have to have a pattern of social and emotional conflicts that fit at least two of the defined characteristics. These characteristics include very little and social emotional sensitivity to other people, regulated positive effect, and stages of inexplicable moodiness, gloom, worriness that is presented in non-threatening exchanges with caregivers. Next, the child has gone through tremendous inadequate treatment of care as defined by one of the following characteristics. Social neglect, frequent fluctuations in main caregiver, or living in an unusual environment that confines the opportunity for attachments to form. The child must be at least the developmental age of 9 months, and the child must not fit any of the characteristic or the criteria for autism spectrum disorder. In order for the disorder to be considered persistent, the condition has to be ongoing for 12 or more months. In order for reactive attachment disorder to be considered severe, an individual must display all the symptoms of the disorder at extreme or high levels. All right, so differential diagnosis. There are numerous differential diagnoses with reactive attachment disorder. A common overlapping disorder is autism spectrum disorder. Abnormal social interactions are a key feature in both autism spectrum disorder and reactive attachment disorder, therefore making it at times difficult for clinicians to discern between the two diagnoses. Particularly in both autism spectrum and reactive attachment disorder, symptoms include inhibited positive feelings, developmental delays, and deficiency in social communication or or social exchanges. Another differential diagnosis with reactive attachment disorder is intellectual disability or intellectual developmental disorder. It is important to understand that reactive attachment disorder and intellectual developmental disorder are commonly co-occurring, but that they should not be confused as an equivalent disorder. Children with intellectual developmental delay who are 7 to 9 months old are able to display attachment development. Depressive disorders are common differential diagnosis with reactive attachment disorder. In both depression disorders and reactive disorders, the child has a decline in positive affect. Importantly, it is vital for a clinician to observe the attachment behavior of the client. When looking to make a diagnosis, a clinician should be aware that rarely with depression disorders is a child's ability to form attachments impaired. Therefore, it's starkly different than children with reaction attachment disorder. Children with depression disorders seek or respond to comfort from their caregivers. Okay, so now we're on to treatment. Attachment theory perspectives have been found to be very beneficial for this population. Clinicians need to have a background knowledge in intrapersonal and interpersonal, I always get that wrong, emotional undercurrents. Importantly, the therapist should understand how these dynamics play a part in building and forming attachments, and always working with a safe place, especially because these clients have gone through a lot of trauma, and working with trauma-informed care is always especially important. But what I found through doing my research is there is not a lot of peer-reviewed research or evidence-based practice treatment in this area. It's a pretty undiscovered area in the DSM overall, but so mainly still undiscovered treatment area. But yep, so that's my thing. Thanks for listening to my slideshow.